Hi guys, I hope that you are all safe and well. I'm just coming on to do one of my little cheeky sort of little waffle videos really. Haven't done one of these for quite a long time and quite a few people have been asking me various questions. So I thought I'd get back into, as and when I can, trying to do a couple of these little videos. Now, something that you guys have been asking me absolutely loads over the last couple of months is what happens to our beautiful animals, our pets? Where do they go? What happens to them? And are they safe in the spirit world? Well, to answer that question, yes, I firmly believe, and Spirit have shown me time and time again, that our beautiful fur babies will always kind of go back to source. They will always go back to the spirit world, and very often they will reunite with other family members that you hold and have dear to you within the spirit world, and they will be loved, they will be kept safe until the time comes when you're all kind of reconnected. And it is exactly the same process really as humans, to be honest, and there are those situations where some animals in a point in time may choose to reincarnate and come back into this life again. So sometimes what happens is you lose an animal, and then maybe a couple of years pass and you decide that you want to get another animal, and sometimes that spirit of your previous animal is reincarnated and it comes back to you in a new physical format, if you like. And this is why very often we sometimes hear stories of people that have got pets where they feel it's very familiar, they feel like they've known this animal before, and in some cases they may have done, but because it might have been that spirit actually kind of coming back in a new vessel essentially, or like a new body. But you also get situations where sometimes those animals will just stay in the spirit world. Now, I've had it a lot recently. People ask me in terms of like readings, do animals come in? Can animals come in? And absolutely, sometimes I've actually get more animals than I get people. Um, there's been a couple of situations recently that have been really powerful, really lovely, actually, where animals have come in. I did a reading a few weeks ago for a lovely, lovely lady, and I kept being shown four dogs. Very matter of fact, four dogs was being put into my hand. First, I was being shown three, then there was an awareness of another dog, but that little dog was a little bit more special, and it made up the collection of four. And I describe this dog, the color, roughly the breed. I don't always see the breeds of dogs, but sometimes they do show themselves. It depends how clear that spirit energy is linking. But they were all there. They were probably having more fun than my client, to be honest, and they were safe. They were with a beautiful, I think, they were with her nan, if I remember rightly. And they were just being held in that vibration of love, because that is what spirit essentially is all about. It's a realm, a vibration of pure unconditional love, and that's where all of our loved ones go, our adults, our young, and our animals. I also had a situation recently in Weston-super-Mare when I did a day of readings down there at Be My Calm Therapy Centre, which is a beautiful space to work in, I will say. And one of my clients there, I had this lovely, lovely lady that I did a reading for. And the first thing I saw before any family members came in, she just had these two horses coming at me. And I was like, oh, okay, here come these horses. And I was like, does this mean anything to you? And I said, I see like a darker one and a lighter one, and sort of described the sort of sizes and everything else. Sometimes they'll show me if they're male or female. So I was picking those things up. And absolutely, they came in and there was so much love from these horses coming in. And what followed through was this lady's dad. And this lady's dad was like, I'm looking after your horses. And that was powerful to have the connection with her dad, but even more powerful that she had these horses coming in as well. So 100% our animals are never far away. And like our loved ones, give us signs and validations, it's the same for our animals. They will give signs, they will give pieces of validation. So sometimes you might hear them scampering around. Sometimes you might find their fur or pieces of their mane or hair, or depending what animal it is. Sometimes that you might see their name on something, a smell sometimes that reminds you of them, which can be good and bad depending on how they smelt. But there's so many weird and wonderful ways they can link with you. And meditation is another great way to link with the spirit of your animal. And sometimes what happens is animals that you held as a beautiful pet in this world, they can go on to become like a spirit guide animal for you. So sometimes they have a role or a purpose to guide you in the spirit world. So like you guided and you allowed them to be, you know, just as they needed to be in this physical life, sometimes it's a bit like role reversal, and they will go on to guide you from the spirit realm. So it can be really, really powerful. So don't ever feel like that's it, it's over, your loved ones are, you know, your loved animals are gone and they're never coming back, because 100% they're with you. And sometimes we can feel that connection quite quickly. Sometimes it can take a bit longer. Like with all of us in life, it depends what we go through. It depends how we transition, if it was a peaceful transition, or sometimes if it's been a little bit more traumatic, it can affect sometimes the time it takes for them to link in. But when they're able to, when they're ready, absolutely they will come to you. You know, no question of that at all, to be honest. The only time I don't like sort of connecting with animals, and this is no disrespect to anybody, is when I have had this, when snakes are shown to me. So I really don't like snakes. I've got a bit of a fear of snakes, as some of you will know. And I have had it on, I've had it actually at a demo before, where I was linking in with this lovely young girl, and then this big, and it was big, python was like on the floor next to me, and I was like, oh my god, it's a snake, what do we do here? And in those situations, the quickest way to move that spirit energy along is for the person to acknowledge it, and luckily they did quite quick. And as soon as they acknowledge, then it leaves, it goes again. Now, if that person hadn't have acknowledged, there is a chance that snake could have started energetically entwining around me, because sometimes they will make those feelings a bit more pronounced until we get the right person. So as a medium, there are times when I don't always like the feeling of stuff, and it's in those situations I always try to deliver it as quickly as possible to get the love and the validation, because essentially that snake just wanted to reconnect with its owner, and it's, you know, it's nothing wrong with it. But when you have a fear of snakes, you don't want to necessarily be linking for longer than is necessary, we'll say. But you would never get me holding a real life one, so that's not going to happen, ever, you know. So oh, no. But there's no disrespect to anybody that has them, because they are lovely in their own way, and they do hold their own mystique and beauty, but they're just not for me. So that's that, really. So yeah, I mean, an experience as well. Sometimes you might find, I mean, we've had it a lot with my little dog Oscar. So obviously he's still with us, but his spirit is travels quite a bit. So he, particularly when we first got him in the sort of younger days, he would do a lot of astral traveling. And that's interesting when that happens with an animal, because essentially it's another way of showing that that spirit can leave the body. Now, he's a rescue dog, so he's had, as some of you guys know, quite a lot of a tricky past, quite a lot of a tricky background, that we've, you know, had to untangle this big ball of string almost to give him the best quality of life. And it's an ongoing work in progress, but we're getting there. But I always remember in our first house, when we first had him, this was probably a couple of months after we first had him, we were really trying to get him into the habit of sleeping downstairs, in his crate and everything else. And what's quite interesting is my husband is very, very aware of spirit, but still very skeptical. And one night we were just fast asleep, minding our own business. It'd been a long, stressful day, and we both felt Oscar bouncing around on the top of our duvet. And it was actually Paul that noticed him first, and he's like, oh, Oscar's got up here. He's like, how's he got up here? And, you know, he was like, oh, he must have accidentally left the stair gate open. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll go and sort of pick him up and take him down. And you know, when you're sort of in that half asleep, half awake stage, you know, of consciousness, went to pick him up and he wasn't there on the bed. And I was like, huh, he was just there. We both literally just saw him. So I was like, oh, okay. So I went downstairs, looked in his crate, and of course, there he was, fast asleep, snoring away, you know, dead to the world, as if he was none the wiser, because his physical body hadn't moved. His spirit had astral traveled, and he used to do that a lot. Nowadays, the little sod sleeps with us in our actual bed, as we've had to just cave in, and he just literally sleeps with us. under the covers. So he now physically is in our bed with us, but like for ages he wasn't. But when we moved into this new bungalow, he was quite sort of scared, quite fearful for some reason of this, even though I feel the energy is fine and everything else. But animals can be very sensitive. And I think sometimes he picks up on an animal that used to live here, because quite a few people have connected to me direct saying that they feel that there's a dog here from a previous time. And I do think sometimes he feels and senses this dog. And so I feel he's a bit sort of fearful of that. So yeah, he just sleeps in our bed now. But we would have it no other way. But it's taken us a long time to have to sort of admit defeat with that because he just wasn't having it. So to go back to the original question, do animals or do your fur babies or whatever pets you've got, do they live on in the next world? Of course they do. They're still spirit in a vessel like we all are. So it's no different. The rules are exactly the same, to be honest. Another way that's really good to sort of link with pets, if you are wanting to make a connection, if you haven't always felt the love of your animals around you, is to meditate, because meditation is a great way for the sort of conscious mind to sort of verge up and meet with the spirit world. And essentially, when we talk about mediumship, we're making a midway point for two energies to meet. So meditation can be really, really powerful. It can be really good to get a connection from your loved ones, but also your animals. So I've actually written a meditation. I'm going to do a cheeky little plug now. I've written a meditation specifically to tune into your pets and your loved ones, animal wise. And it's called A Journey to the Rainbow Bridge Guided Meditation. And this is available on a physical CD like this one, but it's also available as an audio download. And you can purchase this directly through my website. And it's really helped quite a lot of people, actually. And I'll just read you what it says on the back because I think this is quite nice. It just sort of says here, come along on a magical adventure and walk over the Rainbow Bridge, a portal that can reconnect you with those animals and pets you hold close to your heart. They live on over the Rainbow Bridge in a place of eternal love and peace. Let the journey guide your animals home to you. And what I really love about this and meditation in general is you will have specific signs. Your animals will give you specific little things that they used to do that are bespoke to the spirit of that kind of animal. And sometimes people that have done these meditations have said they've felt that behavior or they've seen that behavior. For some people, they've had a really deep connection. For others, it's taken a little while. But meditation is very personal, isn't it? But it's a great way to link with your loved ones of all kinds, essentially, but absolutely with your animals as well. Just want to briefly say about the Rainbow Bridge as well, because people talk about the Rainbow Bridge quite a lot and people say, what is the Rainbow Bridge? And for me, the Rainbow Bridge is an extension of spirit. And I just feel that it is almost a safe place where our loved pets can cross over. So they may see a physical rainbow bridge, but also what happens sometimes is on the other side of that, your loved ones will be there waiting to receive and welcome your pets back. Um, Often as well, if animals have passed in quite a traumatic way, I sometimes see the rainbow bridge as like an in-between space. So sometimes it's like a bit of a healing realm, a place where the spirit goes to recharge, to fully recover before it properly goes into the spirit world directly. So, and people have sensed and seen and sometimes have captured actually elements of the rainbow bridge. I know of quite a few people, particularly with horses, where horses have become lost or they've become transitioned, and people have sat or been with those horses at the end of their life, and they've seen strands or rays of the kind of aura of the rainbow bridge appearing for no reason, and not a conventional rainbow in the sky, an energetic rainbow of light. Quite a few people have sort of said to me about that before. I've never seen that firsthand, but I have heard of it quite a lot, particularly where horses are concerned. So it's quite powerful. And I think what we have to remember as well is, people sometimes say to me about different realms and dimensions, and is that even possible? But we live in a world where we are part of different realms and dimensions every day. If you think of us, we're all in this world, but we're all living a different experience. And so when we look at it in a black and white way, it is another dimension, it is another realm. We're all having our own version of life, and that in itself is a different realm. Your journey is different to mine and somebody else's, but at points in time, it can cross into the same and it can interlink, but it's always bespoke, it's always personal, isn't it? So when people say, I don't believe in other dimensions or other realms, we're having it now. It's around us. It's part of our consciousness. It's just because we don't stop to think about it, we don't really give it much sort of awareness, but actually we're in it already, you know? So when people say that, I'm a bit like, how can there not be? So definitely. So I hope this answers your questions around your beautiful pets and your beautiful animals. I hope it makes a little bit of sense. Very often as well, I know that, like, you know, sometimes it can look quite traumatic when pets pass over. And one thing Spirit reassure me time and time again, whether it be animal or human, there was no pain. So yes, sometimes we see the physical body shut down, you know, and become quite ill at times. But essentially, Spirit show me quite often that the spirit, the essence, the eternal part of your animal or your loved one, it didn't suffer, there was no pain. And very often, Spirit just steps aside for the body to close off and do its thing. Um, and I think that's really important to talk about, because particularly with animals, when they can't communicate always in the same way, there is a lot of guilt sometimes attached to this, isn't there? And I think in some ways, losing an animal can actually be certainly as traumatic, if not more traumatic, than a person sometimes, because essentially an animal depends upon us, an animal is with us pretty much daily. And yes, it's awful when we lose humans, but when we lose an animal, they're with us for such a length of time, and it feels so alien when that connection is gone, you know? So I think that's important to talk about briefly as well. So I hope this video makes a little bit of sense. This is my own understanding of mediumship and everything, and my own awareness of what spirits show me. So I'm not saying this is matter of fact. I'm not saying that this is the only way, but this is the way that spirit have shown the energies to me multiple times, not just now and again, multiple times. So yeah, I hope it makes a little bit of sense. So I'm going to leave it with you. Stay safe, stay well, have an amazing week ahead. And, you know, I'll try and do some more little questions and answers videos as and when I get a chance, when I can remember, to be honest, you know. But I know a lot of people have been talking about pets. That seems to be a recurring theme a lot recently. And as I have had so many animals recently coming in for people, I think it's really important to talk about that. So I'll leave it with you. Hope it makes a bit of sense. Stay well, stay safe, stay fabulous, and I'll catch you soon. Bye for now.